Yo, what's going on? It's me, Jay. I'm here to talk about the life and times of a legend who has sadly passed away and who is going on to be with the ancestors today, doing what was doing what he loved. He was an archaeologist, a historian, a scholar of of the Afrocentric worldview of learning, and his name was Runoko Rashidi. Runoko Rashidi was most well known for his books, particularly The African Presence in Early Asia, Unchained African Voices, and My Journey, The Global African Presence. He he was he was one of the giants. He was one of the four horsemen, I will call them, of Afrocentric scholarship. It was himself, John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben Yakanan, and Ivan Van Sertima. These four guys, I would just read all their books. They all of these guys wrote and listen to all their lectures, and it would open my eyes to the lies that I was taught as a kid in history class. I loved history class, listening in school. A lot of kids didn't like history class because they felt, and rightfully so, that it was all lies, bullshit, propaganda. But me, I like to listen to history class, and I got good grades in history class. But then I started to realize that a lot of what they teach us in history class is all propaganda because education is more about indoctrination than edifying the mind. And once I learned that, I got into these alternative scholars, the Roanoke Rashidis of the world, the Ivan Van Sertimas of the world, the John Henry Clarks of the world, and I started to see that African history and African diaspora history is way more than just slavery, way more than just the Berlin Conference and colonialism, and way more than just apartheid. You know, in standard in the standard American and standard global narrative of history, here's what basically happens. Nothing happens in Africa except for Carthage and Egypt, and Carthage and Egypt are presented as white, and nothing happens below the sub-Saharan desert until slavery, and then the only purpose that African people serve around the world is just in the slave capacity, be it in the Islamic world or be it in the West. So, what Roanoke Rashidi was doing was Roanoke Rashidi was showing you that if the root of Greek culture, if the root of Western culture is in Greece, right? What is the root of Greece? Egypt. What is the root of Egypt? Nubia. Because we marvel at the pyramids in Egypt, but we don't really realize there are more pyramids in Nubia and the Kerma civilization than there ever were in Egypt. So Nubia was just as advanced. Ethiopia was just as advanced. And Roanoke Rashidi is showing you the influence Ethiopian cultures had on South Asian cultures. We find the word Kush in the Hindu Kush Mountains, and that's no coincidence. The people from Kush, from the Horn of Africa, traveled to India. But then also, what Ronak Rashidi was too, he was advocating for certain groups like the Dalits, who were the Dalits, for many that people don't know, are a subgroup in India. The Indian religion is um, a substratum of various groups called Varnas. You have um, uh, the Shastra Varna, the Kisatras, the Sutras, and the Kshatriyas. And each person is assigned according to their birth, um, their position in life, their station in life. You have merchants, uh, like the Kshatriya. You have warriors like the Kshatriya. You have lowly servants like the Sutras. But then you have the group, the Dalits, who we know as the Untouchables. Runoko Rashidi was working heavily with this group in India to try and guarantee them civil rights. Because even though India guarantees them civil rights in in the India's constitution, in a practical sense, they're not guaranteed any civil rights. So just the same way that Rashidi was working to enlighten the minds of African Americans and people in the African diaspora in the West, he was also looking to India to try and emancipate the people there in India, especially the Dalits, because he saw, as many people do. Isabel Wilkerson wrote a book about this as well that came out last year. That the situation in India with the different uh, the the different castes is analogous to what we went through here in the United States, with the Dalits being on the bottom of the social strata, above the Sudras, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas. You know, and it's organized on the Brahmins. The Brahmins are the top caste, and the Brahmins in the Hindu religion and the Hindu culture are the lighter skinned ones, and they're the priests. So the lighter skin you are, the more oppressed you are in Indian society, in traditional Indian Hindu society. And Roanoke Rashidi was one of the first ones to point out the similarities of that, and then took his Black American consciousness, his Black American experience to take it over there to India to fight for the rights of those untouchables there. You know what I mean? So he was truly a warrior for Black people in Asia, because he was showing you in his book, Black Presence in Early Asia, that plenty of the people, plenty of the famous figures in the Hindu religion, like Krishna, are dark skinned. Krishna is presented as dark skinned in the stories about Krishna, in the in the Bhagavad Gita and the other stories about the life of Krishna. He's presented as dark skinned. When you see him, he's drawn as blue, but in other paintings, he's presented as um, black. In fact, Krishna even means black in certain Indian dialects. And Roanoke Rashidi was pointing that out. Egypt, he was also hammering that home. We know Western historians never want to give the credit that Egypt was a black civilization and that Kemet actually means black. And even if you go all the way deep into the Bible, you will start to see that Egypt, you have Noah, you have his three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And Egypt descends from Ham, the one that they say is the black one. You know what I'm saying? So even the Bible is telling you that Egypt was a black civilization, but Western historians, knowing that the ancient Greeks owe so much of their civilization to uh to to ancient Egypt, they owe a lot of their gods to ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians had Haru. They turned Haru into Horus. The ancient Egyptians had Amun Ra. They turned Amun Ra into Apollo. The ancient Egyptians had Isis. They turned Isis into Aphrodite and then Venus, Latinized. You know what I'm saying? They fetishized the Egyptians to the point where there were statues of Isis all the way in Great Britain when Britain was under Roman occupation. So what Roanoke Rashidi was trying to do was trying to bring us back to where our history was before slavery. There was a history in Africa that existed before slavery, and it wasn't just Mali, Songhai, Ghana, the ancient Zimbabwe, the Swahili Coast trading communities, or all of that. There was this history in India as well, of the Dalits. The Dalits were they were the ones who founded the first Indian civilizations. The first Indian civilizations that we learn about, the Indus River Valley civilization and Mohenjo-daro, those were those were founded by the black, dark-skinned Dravidian communities in India. And Runoko Rashidi was trying to point that out. You know, so just like John Henry Clark mostly dealt with Western history, showing the African influence in Western history, and Dr. Ben, he mostly dealt with showing the African influence in the Semitic religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But Roanoke Rashidi was showing you in here, even in Hinduism. You know what I'm saying? Even in Hinduism, you had you had influences. Again, the top four casts, the top um, Varna caste of the, the the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Sudras, and the Dalits. And uh, Roanoke Rashidi was fighting for the Dalits. Peace. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell button to see when our next video is coming out.